And we are live. Good to be with you this morning. Lots to talk about. Let's dig right into it. Good morning, everybody. I hope your day's going as good as mine. I tell you what, it's been smooth as butter. I'm actually getting a little nervous, when things are going too well and you just, that the hair stands up on the back of your neck. Well, look, we got a lot to talk about. And I got so many tabs up here. They're tiny little tabs. So much audio to go through, so many video clips to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and run through some of the more minor stories yet. This one just makes me laugh. There's a little dust up in one of the committee hearings yesterday between Nancy Mace and Jasmine Crockett, and Nancy Mace forgot who she was for a second. Here's the video of the actual clip.
Somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now, so she gonna keep saying trans so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or
Do
not
call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I
will
am
in your
reclaiming my
life.
time.
You will not do that.
Order.
I am not a child.
I am reclaiming my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not in order.
Order.
If you want to take it outside. Oh, come on. All right, let's take a closer look here. This is Jasmine Crockett and Nancy Mace. Which fighter do you got? And how much money would you pay to see that happen? Jasmine Crockett would beat the brakes off that. Oh my God. And tell me you don't have any black friends without telling me you ain't got any black friends. Cause child is not an insult. It is not an insult. It's actually more often a term of endearment that black women will say, "Ooh, child." Let me tell you, they're not insulting you. I mean, tell me you don't have any black friends without telling me you don't have any black friends. But more importantly, Jasmine Crockett was making a great point there. An absolutely fantastic, amazing, great point. Nancy Mace is out there disparaging people, members of the LGBTQI plus community, as fast as she possibly can, because we've talked about it before. All MAGA are a bunch of bigots. That's all they are, is a bunch of bigots. And it pays for a politician to be openly bigoted and attack marginalized people and people in the LGBTQI plus community. It pays. And Jasmine, and that's what pissed Nancy Mace off, is it's so blatantly obvious. Y'all remember her walking around with the sling on because a transgender activist shook her hand and she made up a BS story about she was attacked, and all that disappeared like a fart in a hurricane. But yeah, kudos on Jasmine Crockett for calling it out. I'm loving this next generation of Democrats. They're fighters, man. And I am loving it. And I got to tell you, with the Pete Hegseth hearings, I've got some video for you from the Pete Hegseth hearings, confirmation hearings. Even the old guard did a really good job. They did. I was very glad that these nominees aren't going to get a skate. They're not going to get a walk. And I'm very proud of the Democrats for standing up and fighting like they are. On a less happy note and a less funny note, Well, let me just throw the video out there for you first. A lot of the video clips today are coming to you via Aaron Rupar, atrupar.com on Blue Sky. Follow him. Follow him. I'm going to tell you today where to get the full Hegseth hearing, but Aaron Rupar does an incredibly vital service. He will sit there and do what I did, which is sit there and just sit there through the entire hearing, which was painful, just painful. But he will sit there and do it, and he will go through. He will go through, and he will pull out some of the more important ones. Acene is another one. Acene works with Midas Touch. He is someone else that does that exact same service for it, and I am incredibly grateful for them. I encourage you to follow both of them because they cut through the chafe and just get to the most important clips in these very, very long hearings. And with these hearings coming up, what Aaron Rupar and Acene do is just vitally important. But this is not that. This is talking about the California wildfires, and this is just disgusting.
Just giving money away, shouldn't we insist on some changes in the policies of California? Start with you, Claudia.
Absolutely. Look at my state. We should be doing the same thing with the state of New York with the absurd, catastrophic policies they've put in place. You know, California is a disaster. Those same people weren't concerned about the people in North Carolina or the people in Florida who we've tried to help. So it's really important, though, and they caused this problem. We have the same problem in New York, Larry, by the way. We are cleaning out the thatch. We are not.
Sorry, I muted myself while I was drinking my coffee. I'm here. This is Claudia Tenney. She is a damn liar. First of all, we did everything we could to help North Carolina. We did everything we could to help South Carolina and Georgia and Florida. We knew that hurricane was coming. It wasn't like the fires that just popped up. This was 100%. We knew this was coming. We had FEMA assets on the ground before the hurricane hit. We did everything we could to help those people. And this woman is standing here lying her ever-loving ass off about the response. She's gross. She is freaking gross.
Not taking care of our forests the way they should be managed, where we're in the human environment, and they may have the same problem routinely in California. These people were obstructionists. They also, by the way, tried to cap insurance.
She's talking about that stupid line that Trump always, we need to rake our forests. That's a lie. That is a lie. 100% another lie. It's not that we're not managing our forests. I live in a forest, folks. I am telling you 100%. They timber around here. They're constantly clearing these forests out. This is just a lie. And what happened in California had nothing to do with forests. There are no forests around LA. It's all distraction. It's all crap. But here we're getting to the important part.
Under, I think it was Proposition 103. Guess what that did? It chased insurers out of the state, so many of these people don't even have fire insurance. We have to have a competitive marketplace. We have to get back to a merit-based system. We have to get.
That is another lie. She's sitting there on Fox Business lying to. This is why you can't talk to MAGA. The state didn't chase insurers out of the state. Global warming did. You know, she doesn't say crap like this. Freaking turds like this don't fall out of her sewer mouth about the state of Florida. Florida's facing the same damn crisis. You know who believes in climate change? Do you know who believes in climate change? Your insurance company believes in climate change. And yeah, they stopped writing fire policies in California, just like they've stopped covering hurricanes in Florida. But she's not running her sewer mouth about Florida and Ron DeSantis running the insurance companies out. She's a piece of crap liar. And this is why you can't talk to your MAGA family members, because this piece of crap liar is going to sit there and talk crap about the people that they want to hear talk bad about. These people piss me off. They're like little freaking children.
We have to get back to free markets. None of that is happening in states like California and New York. We have Marxist regimes and people that are interested.
Just giving money away. Shouldn't we insist on some changes?
And that's it right there. I told you. They're going to withhold aid to Florida. They're going to blackmail California. They're going to withhold aid from California. They're going to blackmail California. They're going to try to force the policies that their oligarch, billionaire, bullshit donors have been trying to push on the California people forever, or they're not going to give them a damn dime. That's Republicans for you. That's how scummy Republicans are. That is why people tell me, you can't hate the hell I can't. I hate these sons of bitches. AJ, thanks for the support. Facts, Texas Paul, keeping it real. Thank you, man. I appreciate you for supporting the show. But yeah, it doesn't end there. You've got the guy that is not a president. I'm sorry, but Donald John Trump is not a president. He may hold the office here on January 20th again. He may have held it before, but he is not a president. Because could you imagine for a second Joe Biden and Hunter Biden shit talking the Carolinas and Florida and everybody else in the middle of a disaster and lying about it? Donald Trump says here, as of this moment, Gavin Newsom, again, being a freaking child, Gavin Newsom and his Los Angeles crew have contained exactly 0% of the fires. First of all, the fires aren't all in LA. Sorry, dude. Sorry that you can't keep up with what's going on in the country you're supposed to lead. But hell, some of the deadliest fires aren't even in LA, you asshole. It is burning at levels that even surpassed last night. No shit. The wind came back, you asshole. This is not government. I can't wait till January 20th. Why? What are you going to do? Not a damn thing. Except for blackmail people, for the people that bribe you. Worthless. Donald Trump Jr., can we rename DEI to DIE? Since that's what seems to happen to the people downstream of those who place woke virtue signaling far above competency. Yeah, again, what they're saying is women, people of color are less than white men, and white men should be running everything. And the reason anything bad happens is because y'all challenged our white authority. Screw you, these people. Screw them. Thank you for the support, Sharon. I appreciate you. Yeah, what about the Republican mayors, like in Palisades? And yeah, what about it? What about old Ron DeSantis and his Florida insurance crisis? Try to buy homeowners insurance in Florida. See how much it costs you. Free market my ass. Thanks for the support, Stoneflower Dragon. I appreciate you. But yeah, that's not all of it. That's not all of it. Let's go ahead and jump into the Hegseth confirmation. Before we do, I want to remind everybody. I want to frame this. I want to remind everybody. It doesn't have to be this way. I say it over and over and over again. Republicans cannot govern. I said it again. I tell you all the time. They never left a campaign footing. At some point, you have to get off the campaign and you have to govern. You have to run the United States of America, and you cannot do that while you are campaigning. Those things are diametrically opposed to one another, because governing involves working with everyone to take care of everyone in the United States of America. And Republicans cannot do it. They cannot govern. This Pete Hegseth nomination is a slap in the face, not only to veterans, not only to our active military, but to every man, woman, and child in the United States of America. The Republicans should reject this nomination and tell Donald Trump, send us someone competent, and we will put that person in office. We will put that person in the job. We will confirm them. Send us someone competent. We cannot make Pete Hegseth the head of the Department of Defense. We cannot do it. That would be governing. That would be governing. They know he is incompetent. They as much said it in their and every time they talk. Well, it's like Donald Trump. He was unconventional. No, he was stupid. And he wrecks our country. Look at his administration. It was a disaster. His next administration will be a disaster. And they're putting people in these positions, slapping you in the face, putting people in these positions that they damn well have no business being in. I have several clips for you from different senators. What I'm going to recommend to you is that you go back and watch this confirmation hearing. I know I can't stand to watch these Republicans fillet this guy. I can't. It's a joke. It's a waste of your time. It's my time. It's a waste of the American people's tax money. What the Republicans did at this hearing was a complete and utter waste of time. But you do not have to endure that. If you go to C-SPAN's YouTube channel and watch the Hegseth confirmation hearing there, it's available on replay. You can fast forward through the stupidity and just get to watch the Democratic senators and their questioning. It is worth doing. I have some clips here. Of course, it was hours and hours and hours of hearings. I can't play it all, but I have some very relevant clips here that we're going to run through and talk about. Michelle Pieta from Canada, your fight is our fight. Amen, brother. And I appreciate you being in California to help us. The support you've sent has been incredible, and I am very grateful. But let's dig right into it. There were several really good exchanges throughout the day. Jack Reed being one of them. Let's start with Jack Reed. Jack Reed is a senator from Michigan. He is the ranking member, the ranking Democrat. And this was part of his exchange with Pete Hegseth, where Pete Hegseth has openly called for pardons for soldiers convicted of war crimes. Not accused. You'll see Pete Hegseth here try to obfuscate and muddy up the waters and make claims and stuff. We're talking about people convicted of war crimes, turned in by their fellow soldiers for war crimes, tried and convicted. This is, and Hegseth was smug, arrogant, and stupid through this entire hearing. Let's dig into it.
Adjudicated by who? People in Washington or fellow non-commissioned officers who had also served, sacrificed, and believed in the ethic of the military? Who were the court martial
Senator in
That was a very important point that Jack Reed just made there, because the spin that Hegseth keeps trying to put on this issue is, oh, it's just a bunch of DC politicians and officers trying to make their career that have nothing to do with the war fighters and nothing to do, kept saying war fighters, war fighters, war fighters. You know, it's kind of like they do with fentanyl, war fighters, everything's war fighters. But it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, the assertions that he made. These soldiers face trials. They had defense attorneys. They were convicted of war crimes.
Multiple cases, they were actually acquitted,
In
but
some
charges
cases,
lingered,
yes,
regardless of where those
some were
convening
convicted.
authorities were. Yes, sir.
Some were, but others were convicted, and you asked for pardon. That's the only reason you asked for pardon, because they were convicted. But the other factor.
Yeah, you don't ask for pardons for people that weren't convicted. Period. That was a great point. Jack Reed did a very good job. He did a very good job highlighting that Pete Hegseth does not have the temperament. He does not have the qualifications. I very much encourage you to go back and watch Senator Reed and his take on it. The only negative thing is I will say is that they tried to not come off as bullying. So they let Pete Hegseth run his mouth too much. They did. These people that are unqualified, if you watch these hearings, you can tell the difference between a qualified person and an unqualified person. A qualified person wants the questions because they're going to right out of the park. They are. An unqualified person will sit there and they will be coached by both. And in this case, Hegseth was not just coached by people that follow these and watch these were really understood. A lot of the lawyers that watched this were like, he wasn't just coached by political consultants. He was coached by a defense attorney. It was very obvious he was coached by a defense attorney. I'm going to play a couple of clips for you here where he neither confirms nor denies allegations. Not once during this hearing did he step into that. It's really there were several really good exchanges. This is one with Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine had and this short clip does not sum it all up, but it was really good. Talking about the allegations of abuse and drunkenness, and we talked about it in a prior show, everything that's wrong with Pete Hegseth.
Alcohol or drunk. I know you've denied that, but you would agree with me, right, that if that was the case, that would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense.
Senator, those are all anonymous false claims, and the totality.
They're not anonymous.
The letters
We've
on the
seen-
record here.
They're not anonymous.
On the record,
We've
people who
seen
work
records
me
with
at
names
Vets
attached
for
to
Freedom, Concerned Vets for America, and Fox News.
One of your colleagues
working
said,
hard every day on behalf.
One of your
mission.
colleagues said that you got drunk at an event at a bar and chanted, "Kill all Muslims." Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took coworkers to a strip club. You were drunk. You tried to dance with strippers. You had to be held off the stage. And one of your employees in that event filed a sexual harassment charge as a result of it. Now, I know you denied these things, but isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not.
He said that over and over and over again. Anonymous false charges, anonymous false charges. All he would say. But I will tell you, the Democrats did a really good job, not just they didn't come off as though they were hounding him. They did a really good job of staying on point, not letting him stray. I do feel that they let him talk a bit much. But again, they did a good job of staying on point. A little bit more of Tim Kaine here.
You didn't reveal any of this to President Trump or the transition team as they were considering you to be nominated for Secretary of Defense. You didn't reveal the action. You didn't reveal the criminal complaint. You didn't reveal the criminal investigation. You didn't reveal the settlement. You didn't reveal the cash payment. Why didn't you inform the commander-in-chief and the transition team of this very relevant event?
Senator, I've appreciated every part of the process with the transition team. They have been open and honest with me. We've had great conversations between the two of us. And I appreciate the opportunity that President-elect Trump has given me.
You chose not to reveal this, right? Because you knew it would hurt your chances.
Again, kept him on point, stayed in the relevant conversation, didn't allow him to stray, didn't allow him to obfuscate his responsibility. All he could say was it's anonymous slurs, and then they would just repeatedly said, no, it's not an anonymous slur, sir. We have it right here. We have it right here. Mark Kelly also did a fantastic job. Did a fantastic job of holding him to account for the things that were said that we've talked about before, the allegations against Pete Hegseth of drunken misconduct and abuse and assault. Mark Kelly just nails him here.
Virginia, you needed to be carried out of the event for being intoxicated.
Senator, anonymous smears.
Just true or false? Very simple. Summer of 2014 in Cleveland, drunk in public with the CVA team.
Anonymous smears.
I'm just asking for true or false questions, true or false answers. An event in North Carolina, drunk in front of 3 young female staff members after you had instituted a no alcohol policy and then reversed it. True or false?
Anonymous smears.
December of 2014 at the CVA Christmas party at the Grand Hyatt at Washington, D.C., you were noticeably intoxicated and had to be carried up to your room. Is that true or false?
Anonymous smears.
Another time, a CVA staffer stated that you passed out in the back of a party bus. Is that true or false?
Anonymous smears.
Virginia.
None of which were anonymous. They have the allegations. They have the people's names. Again, the Democrats just did an amazing job sticking to it, sticking to the point, not allowing him to stray, not allowing him to get away with basically just lying. The only thing that they weren't able to do, which I really wish they had been able to do, would been to have gotten him to actually flatly deny any of it, because then the NDAs would have been out the window. Like I said, he was briefed by an attorney. This wasn't just, your average political preparation. You could tell he was actually briefed by an attorney. Elizabeth Warren also did a really good job.
January 2013, you told a Fox News interviewer that women in the military simply couldn't measure up to men in the military, saying that allowing women to serve in combat roles would force the military to lower the bar. You picked up on that same theme in 2015, making remarks on Fox News, referring to women in combat as, quote, it would erode standards. June 2024, you said on Ben Shapiro's podcast, quote, women shouldn't be in combat at all. And then, of course, we've talked about it in 2024. You published a book, and you say on page 26 of your book, we need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat units. Page 48 of your book, you claim that women should not be in combat roles, because men are distracted by women. And then January 2013, you told a Fox News interview.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren did an amazing job. She really did. Democrats in general just did an amazing job calling these points out, talking about his prior comments about women, busting him about just flat out lying. They did a fantastic job. They really nailed the fact that all of the sudden, he's seen the light. He doesn't believe any of this anymore. Like I said in the previous show, he's trying to put the crap back in the horse. And it just doesn't fly when you see the sheer totality of his comments. That's why I highly suggest just do a search on YouTube for C-SPAN. Go back and watch. Go back and watch. You know, that is the best way to do it. Watch it on replay. You can fast forward through the nonsense. But you really do get the important part. Here you've got Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, who calls out Pete Hegseth for failing to meet with Democratic senators, as is tradition. If you're going to take a job that is supposed to be bipartisan, you're going to need to meet with the senators that are on the committee that oversees your department. And Pete Hegseth refused. He refused prior to his hearing to sit down with Democrats. The only Democrat he met with was the ranking member, Jack Reed, because that was at the insistence of the chairman. But he didn't meet with a single other Democratic senator on the committee. And here you've got, well, let's just let Senator Peters handle it.
And yet I could never get a meeting with you. Was there a reason you were afraid to have one-on-one meetings with some of my colleagues before the hearing?
Senator, I know there was a great deal of outreach to multiple offices. Schedules get full. There's a lot going on.
I was ready.
And I welcome the opportunity,
I was
pending
ready.
my schedule, to have an opportunity to sit down.
I was ready. It would have been so much better to have that opportunity to talk beforehand. I think that's a big mistake, and it doesn't set us on a good course when you refuse to meet with people and have a professional conversation about the huge challenges that
not only, did they break tradition with not meeting with Democratic senators ahead of time, when ranking member Reed requested a second round of questioning because this candidate is wholly unqualified, which is tradition. Usually there are 2 to 3 rounds of questions so that they can dig in on answers that are given by a nominee. That's normal. Chairman refused. Republicans refused. They absolutely refused to have a second round of questioning, citing the confirmation of General Lloyd Austin to Secretary of Defense. There was not a need for a second round of questioning. General Austin has had a long and storied career. He came up through the Pentagon. No one questioned his qualifications. There was no need to question his qualifications, and he answered every question put to him. There just was not a need for a second round. They used that as their basis to deny what is normal, a second or third round of questioning for a nominee, because they know their nominee cannot stand up to it. He failed so miserably. I cannot stress to you, I have watched so many of these hearings. Pete Hegseth failed utterly in this hearing. He left no fig leaf for Republicans to hide behind. None whatsoever. Darcy Grogan, thank you. New supporter. I appreciate you. Peace to you, brother. My family has fought for our freedoms back to World War I, and if Pete gets in, my ancestors are rolling in their grave. Keep punching it. Keep punching it with your intelligence. We need you bad right now. I appreciate you. I do. I appreciate you. I do. I really appreciate the support. But there was so much that the Democrats just laid bare. Let's see Senator Peters again here for a second. It really is worth going back to watch the whole thing. I know it'll make your blood boil. A lot of it will make your blood boil, but it is worth seeing just how badly Pete Hegseth did.
You talk about raising or low, that we have a problem of standards in the DOD, and we have to raise standards for the men and women who serve. Do you think that the way to raise the minimum standards of the people who serve us is to lower the standards for the Secretary of Defense, that we have someone who has never managed an organization more than 100 people is going to come in and manage this incredibly important organization and do it with a professionalism and has no experience that they can tell us that they have actually done that? I have real problems with that. This is not about other issues that are brought up. They're all very important. I'm just about trying to get things done, managing efficiently, and having the best people who have demonstrated that in a large organization. And I'm sorry, but I don't see that in your background. There are a lot of other things you can do very well. You're a capable person, but
And I have to tell you, that was the theme for the day. The Democrats did an outstanding job of pointing out that the two organizations that he did run with more than a few dozen employees were charity organizations that he failed miserably at. So much so that they had to bring in forensic accountants to account for money that was missing, just gone. He was supposed to be running a charity to help veterans, and he failed miserably. And they were minusculely small organizations, few $1 million budgets. They want this guy, this clown, this jerk off to run the Department of Defense with billions and billions and billions of dollars. And God, I don't remember. Does anybody remember the last count? The number of people in our armed services, the contractors, just the sheer massive size and scope of the Department of Defense to put this ass clown. Linda Hoxha, big support. Appreciate you. I really do. I just purchased a Leica Q3 camera, and here's a little bit of the leftover cash. Enjoy. Thank you. Congratulations on the camera. Nice camera, by the way. Congratulations. Mrs. Texas Paul is a bit of a photo bug herself. She shutterbug herself. She, I'm sure she would appreciate hearing about that. But yeah, there was really it was brutal. I mean, it was brutal. Here's Senator Mark Kelly again, calling him out for the way he was just obfuscating this pretend, oh, I found Jesus and I'm a better man and I take responsibility, and then not taking responsibility for anything. Mark Kelly, here, let's let Mark Kelly do it. He did an amazing job here.
You say you've had personal issues in your past, yet when asked about those very issues, you blame an anonymous smear campaign, even when many of these claims are not anonymous. Which is it? Have you overcome personal issues, or are you the target of a smear campaign? It can't be both. It's clear to me that you're not being honest with us or the American people, because you know the truth would disqualify you from getting the job. And just as concerning as each of these specific disqualifying accusations are, what concerns me just as much is the idea of having a Secretary of Defense who is not transparent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back my 2
But I have to say, just as someone who has watched a lot of these, I got to tell you, Pete Hegseth and the Republicans, just the stupidity just the sheer stupidity of the points they were trying to make, things that they claimed made him well, here, let's just take it out of their own mouth. This is Senator Sheehy from Montana. I mean, this is just going to make your blood boil.
Pete, I'm actually going to ask you questions because I want to hear your answer. How many genders are there? Tough one.
Senator, there are 2 genders.
I know that well. I'm a Sheehy, so I'm on board.
Ha ha ha. Yeah, let's start off with this idiocy. This idiocy. Going back to Nancy Mace and her fundraising off the bigotry that is your average MAGA voter. Yeah, that sets the tone for the way Republicans acted during this entire hearing.
What is the diameter of the rifle round fired out of an M4A1 rifle?
That's a 5.56.
How many push-ups can you do?
I did 5 sets of 47 this morning.
What do you think are most important strategic bases in the Pacific?
In the Pacific, Guam is pretty strategically significant.
How many rounds of 5.56 can you fit into the magazine of an M4 rifle?
Depends on the magazine, but standard issue is 30. Senator.
Pete, I'm
not kidding. That's what they thought was important. That is what they thought was important. Stupid shit like that. I mean, every Republican senator wasted our time with that nonsense. How many push-ups can you do? How many rounds are in an M4's magazine? These are not qualifications for Secretary of Defense. Not even close. Not even close. And I have to tell you that there was some great questioning about qualifications. Senator Slotkin, again, did an amazing job. I just can't say that enough. I know I'm being repetitive there, but she did an amazing job. Compare what you just saw from Sheehy with the questions being posed by Senator Slotkin, and you tell me what's relevant.
Do you agree that there are some orders that can be given by the commander-in-chief that would violate the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, thank you for your service. But I reject the premise that President Trump is going to be giving illegal orders.
No, I'm not saying he will, but do you believe there is such a thing as an illegal order that Joe Biden or any other president, Donald Trump, could give? Is there anything that a commander-in-chief could ask you to do with the uniformed military that would be in violation of the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, anybody of any party
Right.
could give an order that is against the Constitution or against the law.
Right. Okay. So are you saying that you would stand in the breach and push back if you were given an illegal order?
I start by saying I reject the premise that President
I
Trump will be
understand
giving
you've done your
any
genuflecting
illegal
to him,
orders
but
at all.
This isn't a hypothetical. Okay. Your predecessor in a Trump administration, Secretary Esper, was asked and did use uniformed military to clear unarmed protesters.
Yeah, a couple of the senators pressed on this. We've talked about it before. We talked about Mark Esper. We talked about Trump ordering the military to shoot. So they got into it. They really did. They got into it. It is worth going back and watching. It really is. The questions, the way he obfuscated, every time he was asked a serious question, he would either completely just, oh, it's a smear campaign. It's nothing, it was just anonymous smears. That's what they told him to repeat. Anonymous smears. Or he would run for Donald Trump's skirt. how dare you infer that Donald Trump would ask me as Secretary of Defense to do something illegal and unconstitutional, like, I don't know, shoot protesters? You really need to go back and watch that whole exchange with Senator Slotkin. She did a fantastic job of making Pete Hegseth not answer that question. And that's a disqualifier. Because again, this is a real situation. This is not make believe. This happened in the last Trump administration, and he absolutely refused to answer the question. Rich, thank you, buddy. I appreciate the support. Repugs are bringing all-star wrestling thinking into government. Exactly. Exactly. Having a hard time enjoying my coffee. I burnt my tongue yesterday. We got my normal favorite sausage that I like is I've stopped buying it because they keep jacking the price and jacking the price and jacking the price. So I tried a new brand yesterday, and it's actually pretty good. You know, Kingsford Charcoal, they started making a sausage, and I like coarse ground sausage. I don't like that like kielbasa where it's all super uniform inside. I like my sausage coarse ground, but it's pretty good. So if you want to try the Kingsford stuff, try it. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it, but I couldn't wait, and I took a bite, and you know how it squirts in your mouth, and it just seared my tongue yesterday. So I'm definitely not enjoying my coffee this morning. I can't do without it, but I'm not enjoying it. But yeah, a lot of people have pointed out, I've been seeing it in the chat, Tammy Duckworth. And I've got to say, she really just laid bare. The Democrats all did a really good job of pointing out just how unqualified. Thanks, Chris. I'll try that. We go to Aldi. I'll try that. They did a really good job of pointing out just how grossly unqualified he is, even before you get to the drunkenness, even before you get to the assaults, even before you get to all of the terrible things that are wrong with his character and his worldview. Just sheer qualifications, he has none. And they tried to pretend as though an infantry soldier, somehow that makes you qualified to run the Department of Defense. And it doesn't. It doesn't. A lot of you have pointed out Tammy Duckworth, and I have to tell you, she was one of the best. This was one of the best exchanges of the day, because again, it just highlights how grossly underqualified Pete Hegseth is.
Not qualified to that, you could do acquisition and cross-servicing agreements, which essentially are security agreements. You can't even mention that. You've done none of those. You talked about the Indo-Pacific a little bit, and I'm glad that you mentioned it. Can you name the importance of at least one of the nations in the ASEAN, and what type of agreement we have with at least one of those nations? And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way?
I couldn't tell you the exact
No, you
amount of
couldn't,
nations in
because you're
that,
not
but I
even
know we have
bothered to
allies
do-
in South Korea and Japan and in AUKUS with Australia, trying to work on submarines with them.
Mr.
and data
Hegseth,
transfers
none
with
of those
them.
countries
We
are
have
in
allies
ASEAN.
across.
None of those three countries that you've mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations.
Nailed it. Nailed it. ASEAN, by the way, to a layperson, and especially to the Billy Bobs in MAGA, they have no idea. This is one of those things that is critically important, that our government is out there doing, that our government is engaging with, that, you know, the average person just doesn't know even exists. When she talks about ASEAN, she's talking about the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It is a political and trade bloc. Well, let's go to the map. Let's go to the map. It is in this region. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Got another clip for you from her in a minute. Go to the map. This is the region we're talking about. This is the South China Sea. This is China to the north, India to the west. You've got Indonesia to the south. ASEAN is the countries in this region. It's made up of Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. They all group together to counter the two trade behemoths that are on either side of them. You have China to the north and India to the west. But this trade group that most people have never heard of, you say ASEAN and nobody knows who you're talking about. More shipping flows through these waters than just about anywhere on earth. This is a massively important political and trade organization. You know, people say the business of business, America is business. This is massive. This is a political counter to China. It's one of the things from our point of view, it counters some of China's influence, manufacturing influence in the world. And it prevents China from basically just politically swallowing these countries up and forcing them into fealty. And yes, the Secretary of Defense absolutely focuses a massive amount of energy on these groups, because right in the middle of the South China Sea, you know, one of the reasons is right in the middle of the South China Sea sits a little island called Taiwan. This is incredibly important, and Pete Hegseth can't name one member, or, you know, somebody briefed him on AUKUS, which has nothing to do with ASEAN. It doesn't, but he doesn't know that. Lloyd Austin knew it. Ask members of our military, our Navy especially, that spend a good deal of their time. If you're in the Pacific Fleet, a good deal of your focus is in this region. But Pete Hegseth, he's got no qualifications at all for the job. Let's go back to Tammy Duckworth, just to follow up on that exchange.
There are three main ones that the Secretary of Defense leads and signs. Can you name at least one of them?
Could you repeat the question, Senator?
Sure. What is the highest level of international security agreement that you have led? And can you name some that the Secretary of Defense would lead? There's three main ones. Do you know?
I have not been involved in international security arrangements.
No shit, Sherlock. They don't do that at Fox. What she's talking about is the actual job of the Secretary of Defense. The Secretary of Defense just doesn't sit and manage the Pentagon, doesn't sit and manage contracting, and doesn't sit. They are actually actively involved in negotiations and security agreements. There was a reason that Lloyd Austin and his counterpart in Russia could pick up the phone and call each other at moments of crises in the Ukraine war. There were reasons. I mean, can you imagine this asshat being on the other end of one of those conversations? The Republicans kept talking about, well, you know, we're going to put qualified people around me. I'm gonna have qualified. Of course, I'm gonna need qualified people around me. Your qualified people don't get on the phone with your counterpart from Russia or the UK or China And in the middle of a crisis, they don't want to talk to your staffer. They want to talk to you. And you have to be able to take those phone calls, handle those phone calls, know exactly how far you can go, where your authority ends, and when you have to push it up to the president. My God, can you imagine this moron in those conversations? Thanks for the support, Sherry. I appreciate you. I do. But yeah, Tammy Duckworth did an amazing job here. One of the best exchanges through the entire hearing. Let's finish this up.
Arrangements, because I have not been in government other
Okay.
than serving in the military. So my job has been
So
to
no, the
lead
answer is,
men
can
and
you
women in
name one of the
combat.
three main ones that the
You're
Secretary
talking
of
about
Defense
defense
signs?
arrangements. I mean, NATO might be one that you're referring to.
Status of Forces Agreement would be one of them.
Status of forces agreement. I've been a part of teaching
So-
about status of forces agreements.
But you don't
inside
remember to
Afghanistan.
mention it? You're not qualified, Mr. Hegseth. You're not qualified. You talk about repairing our defense industrial complex. You're not qualified to that. You could do acquisition and cross-servicing agreements, which essentially are security agreements. You can't even mention that.
Please take a moment, go back and watch. Thanks, JD. I appreciate the support. I really do. Go back and watch those exchanges. You're here on YouTube. When the show's over or whenever you want, because it's on replay, you can watch it at your convenience. Do a search for C-SPAN Hegseth confirmation hearing and watch it through at your leisure. These exchanges are so critically important. And I am telling you, I have never seen a nominee fail this badly. And you've got to watch it on replay like that, because there's so much wasted time, just wasted time. Just the assertions he makes are just dumb. They called him out on just making stuff up. You know, when you talk to a bunch of misogynist jerks and you say, well, they're setting quotas for women in the military. You know, commanders have to meet quotas for women under their command. That Kirsten Gillibrand just ripped him apart. Just flat out told him to a face, you just made that up. That doesn't exist. I've heard you say it several times today, and that does not exist. You've said it on podcasts. You've said it here. It doesn't exist. And they talked about lowering standards to allow more women into positions. That never happened. That never happened. Not once. And the Democrats did an amazing job. I was very proud of them. I was really leery going in. And I did. If you follow me on social media, I put one out there that said, look, if there's not blood on the floor over these nominees, I'm going to be looking for some new leadership. Period. You know me, I'm a ride or die Democrat. I think the Democrats are the way forward. But if they didn't find some fight, I'm sorry, but we were going to have to find some new leadership as far as I was concerned. And they did. They brought it. They did a good job. I was very, very proud of them. And it didn't just stop with the hearing, because old Tim Kaine took to social media afterwards. Senator Tim Kaine, who's normally, he's like the Mr. Rogers of the Senate. He's just the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. Somebody lit a fire under Tim Kaine. They really did, because he came out swinging even on social media after he posted this. Tim Kaine is really hard into my friend across the aisle and this, that, and the other. I mean, for him to say this is a big deal, this shows you that they are figuring out that they are the opposition party, because Tim Kaine says here, GOP members complaining about reduction of military standards, which was a theme throughout the entire hearing, while using a chart that misspells the word military. See right here, it says military instead of military. Republicans, they're a joke. They're a joke. And I want to stress it again. It doesn't have to be this way. they could stop the morons that they pander to. Don't follow this minutia. They don't. The Republicans could stop, get off the campaign footing. They could vote down Pete Hegseth. They didn't even have to let it come to a vote. They could have told Donald Trump, withdraw this nominee. Send us a nominee that's even nominally qualified, and we'll put him in the job, because it is a simple majority vote. They have the votes. They don't need Democrats. There's really nothing we can do about it. And I hate to tell you this, folks, Pete Hegseth is going to get approved. But we're going to make him pay for it. Every stupid, idiotic, incompetent mistake, we're going to make them pay for it. But it doesn't have to be this way. Even Donald Trump could go. There are Republicans out there that find national security to be an important issue. He could go to them and say, hey, who's a good person to put in this job? There's nothing stopping that. It would actually serve Donald Trump, because then he could ignore the Department of Defense. We wouldn't have these disasters that we're going to have going forward. It would serve his interest. But no, it's all politics all the time. I've told you, Republicans cannot govern, because governing means stopping the campaign and doing the job. And they don't know how. There's one governing party in this country, and that's the Democratic Party. And it doesn't just stop with Pete Hegseth. It doesn't. Let me introduce you to this. Oh my God. This is Billy Long. He was a congressman in Missouri. This is the kind of person that MAGA sends to Congress. This is Billy Long. He was an auctioneer before becoming a congressman. The biggest thing he ever did was he was a real estate agent for a while, and then he ran a mini golf course. He's not an accountant. He doesn't have a college degree. But MAGA thought he would be a good person to send to Congress. And he made a name for himself pandering to the billionaire frat boy club by calling for the utter destruction and elimination of the IRS. And after he left Congress, he went to work for a company called Lifetime Advisors, where he was pushing a shady tax credit that is so bad that the IRS has actually suspended it. They're going back and they're doing massive numbers of audits on this tax credit. It's the employee retention tax credit that came out of COVID. It was so badly abused that the IRS has just said, no, you can't do that anymore. And they're going back and they're mass auditing people that filed for the employee retention tax credit. Well, Billy Long became an advisor to several of these Johnny Got Rocks companies. And guess what he was advising? Hey, take you that employee retention tax credit. It's free money. It's insane. When you see Billy Long, he's got CTBA behind his name, which stands for Certified Tax and Business Advisor. You know how you have like RN and DO and and people will have alphabet soup behind their names that actually means something. CTBA doesn't mean anything. It doesn't exist. It's not a real certification. There is no state certification or government certification, nothing. The CTBA is a certification that you get when you go to a 3-day seminar put on by a company called Excel Empire. That's it. The man has no qualifications to do his job. Guess what that job is? Guess what he's been nominated to do? Come on, folks. I know one of y'all know. I knew y'all would know. I knew you know. And Kimberly got it right away. Yeah, Billy Long is going to be the head of our IRS because the Republicans have said they're just going to rubber stamp Trump's nominee. They're not going to actually advise and consent. They're just going to let Trump do whatever he wants to do. They're going to put a guy that has called for the abolition of the IRS, that has no degree, no accounting background, no business background that would give him any credibility in running the IRS. And he is going to be responsible for running the agency that collects our nation's revenues. Imagine how badly that's going to end. Mighty Felix, thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. Yes, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you're not familiar with the subscribe button on YouTube, that's just the follow button like on other social media platforms. Don't read too much into it. You're not like subscribing for a magazine or something. It's the follow button. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Oh, Billy Long, the auctioneer, is going to run the IRS. Not a tax attorney. Not an accountant that has worked for a major accounting firm. Not somebody that has spent a lifetime working in the IRS. Not somebody that has, even been an executive in a corporation that has focused on tax policy. Nothing. Just a guy that pushed a grift utilizing a tax credit that was so badly abused that the IRS said, whoa, man, we can't do this. And now they're going back and they're tagging all of those people and they're prosecuting all of those people that abused that very tax credit. And he's going to run the IRS, which, by the way, runs the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. It doesn't have to be this way. There's no reason for it to be this way. There are people out there that are Republicans that would put people, I would disagree with their policies, but I wouldn't have to stay up at night thinking, my country's not going to be able to take in revenue to fund the government because of this moron who cannot run this agency, who's going to end up having my government tied up in lawsuits continuously. And they're going to abuse the IRS. They just are. We're back to the bad old days of Nixon, where Nixon used to sick the IRS on people that were his political enemies. That's what we're back to, folks. Elections have consequences. Elections have consequences. It is just insane. And these are the kind of people they are. Flags are supposed to fly at half staff till January 28th to honor Jimmy Carter. But Donald Trump is such a weak, petty, thin-skinned, disgusting, weak individual that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is going to stop honoring President Jimmy Carter on January 20th. And he's going to raise the flag to full staff for Donald Trump so that Donald Trump doesn't have his fifis hurt on Inauguration Day, because Donald Trump can't honor anyone else. Jimmy Carter was a veteran, a hero veteran. We talked about Chalk River. We talked about the fact that at one point, Jimmy Carter was told, don't buy green bananas and you're never going to have kids. You've soaked up so much radiation in this rescue that, don't buy green bananas. Thank you, Mr. Galati. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for always being here. But instead of honoring this president like we should, because Donald Trump is a weakling and can't handle it. And what does it matter? What does it matter to Donald Trump if the flags are at half staff? Everybody knows. But we all knew he was thin-skinned and a whiner and couldn't handle it. So the Republicans, they're going to rubber stamp it. And it's not just Johnson. It's my jerk off governor, Greg Abbott. He's doing the same thing here in Texas. Because what's wrong with disrespecting a Democrat? Bill Lee in Tennessee. Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee is going to do the same thing. Kay Ivey in Alabama. Going to do the same thing. Of course, that moron, Ron DeSantis, he's going to disrespect Jimmy Carter too. For Mango Mussolini. And Kim Reynolds is another one. No, governor of Iowa. Leatherface 2.0. They're all going to disrespect Jimmy Carter because he's a Democrat. What does it matter, right? I mean, California is a Democratic state, so what does it matter if we blackmail them? These people have no ethics. They have no scruples. And we need to split the sheets. We need to cut the ties. They can't just do the basic traditional things that should be done. They're just indecent people. We need to split the sheets. We need to stop coming together with these people. You remember, Donald Trump did this to John McCain also. When a senator of note dies, until the senator finishes lying in state, they'll fly the flags at half-mast. Donald Trump, when John McCain passed, we all remember John McCain. I disagreed with him politically, but he was a hero and deserved the respect. Ordered the flags raised to full mast immediately because he couldn't handle that John McCain, who disagreed with Donald Trump on some issues, was being honored. Donald Trump can't handle someone else being honored because he doesn't respect anyone. Including the mother of his children. That's Ivanka's Ivana's gravesite. And yes, this is an actual photo of Ivana's gravesite. He had her buried on his golf course for tax purposes. And that's how he treats her grave. The man has no respect for anyone. Hell, I don't even think he respects himself, to be quite honest with you. But Republicans are Donald Trump. MAGA are Donald Trump. They're all low character. They're all disgusting human beings. All of them. Colleen Sarah, thank you for support. My TV will be off on January 20th. My respects will be to MLK and Jimmy Carter. Amen. I will be boycotting. You will not be seeing any images or anything from the inauguration from me. I will not talk about it. I will not cover it. Some people have emailed me and asked me to do a special show on that day as an alternative. No, because what would we talk about? I'm not going to even talk about the inauguration. I'm just telling you right here, right now, do not come here for coverage of the inauguration. Just don't. Unless something horrific happens or something, but I'm not going to give him air. I will not watch it. I will not participate. He's a disgusting, unfit individual who should not be the president of the United States. And everyone that voted for him are just as disgusting and just as sick as he is. And on that note, let me introduce you to James Quincy, the CEO of Coca-Cola, who just managed, I've talked about this before. I'm not much of a drinker. Don't do drugs. I've got very few what you would call addictions in my life. One of them happens to be Coke Zero. But old James Quincy here solved that problem for me. They had a special edition Diet Coke bottle made for Donald Trump, and he personally delivered it to him. And I just kind of remember how MAGA reacted when Bud Light wanted to sell some beer to the LGBTQIA plus community and made one can for one person. They boycotted the entire brand. Back at you. Fuck Coca-Cola. And fuck Donald Trump. Well, folks, that's what I've got for you today. I highly encourage you. Take some time. It is really worth doing. It is, if you want to know what's going on with these nominations, C-SPAN does a really good job of going back. They take and you can they replay the live. You can watch it live on C-SPAN's YouTube channel. But after the fact, you can go back, search it, and you can zip through the parts that you don't want to watch. And it makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier. If you don't want to do that, go back, go to Blue Sky, follow Acyn, A-C-Y-N, Acyn, or Aaron Rupar, he's at AT Rupar. And they will show you clip after clip after clip after clip. They'll do the watching for you. But watch. You've got to see this stuff. The Democrats are putting the fight up, folks. They really are. Elections have consequences. We can't stop these people from getting into office. Every Democrat voting in lockstep will not stop these nominees. The Republicans have the simple majority. It's just the way it is. And they are, no matter how grossly unqualified these candidates are, they're just going to approve them. And we're going to have to pay for it as a nation. Christy Light, MAGA used low-income people in Greenland to make their little fake commercial. Yeah, we talked about that, liberating Greenland in the same way that MAGA. You know, let this be an eye-opener to you. We're all proud Americans. We are. And our European audience, this is important. You know, we're proud, just like you're proud of your country. We're proud of it. But there is a disconnect here in the United States. We don't get to talk to a lot of people. We don't have, it's a big country. I mean, we're a long ways away. Most of us are a long ways away from even Canada and Mexico. I mean, there aren't a lot of people near the borders of our country. We don't get a lot of cross-cultural communication. So we don't really know how we're doing compared to other countries. Like, say, somebody that lives in Europe does, that has that interaction. Folks, take Greenland. We're supposed to be great, man. We're America. Woo! America! Greenland don't want any part of us. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about the fact that Donald Trump said, hey, would you like to join us? And Greenland said, no, we're good. We're good. Thank you. No. That should be an eye-opener to you folks. You know, we ain't all that in a bag of chips. We're not. We've got a lot of work to do, and it's going to be even more after this nonsense. We've got to stay focused, stay involved, stay engaged. Please get in touch with your local Democratic Party. Let's make this backlash and this wave as big and deep as possible. Cecile, thank you for the support. Viva la resistance. Never obey in advance. Amen. Stay on a campaign footing. Be the opposition party. Don't have any patience for that. The new bots on social media are the cynics. Oh, those Democrats are terrible. They're just terrible. We have no patience, no time for that. Shut that crap down. We are the opposition party now. Every inch we give is something that we have to rebuild later. Don't do it. Don't do it. Be ride or die. Where are my ride or die Democrats at? I want to see my ride or die Democrats. Hearts and skulls, people. How many of you are ride or die Democrats? I want to see it. That's the way you've got to be. We failed in this last election. I failed in this last election. Too many people let too many stupid things keep them at home. Well, this is going to be a good reminder. This is going to be a good reminder because I guarantee you, we are tested every change of administration. They want to see how weak we are. And they're going to test Pete Hegseth. They are going to test Pete Hegseth. And he's going to fail. And fail badly. He has no qualifications to be in the job. There's this delusion that they have about wokeness. And they think that they're going to force their politics on everybody. And it's all going to be okay. And no, there's not going to be any repercussions for it. Oh, no, you own it now. You own it. And everything you break is on you. Folks, see right there? See that silver plaque? I want to thank you. That's my recognition for YouTube for breaking 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you being here. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. Let's build the community as big as possible. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep the community growing. Let's turn that into gold. Let's turn that into gold. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. Thank you, folks, for doing the work. Thank you for the support, Keith. That is what I have for you today. I know we talked about doing a roundtable at the end of the show today, but we run a little bit long. We've only got about 5 minutes left. Don't want to run over an hour and a half today. There are unfortunately pressing issues that have to be taken care of. Yeah, exactly how I feel. They cured my Coke Zero addiction. Thank you, Coca-Cola. I appreciate you for doing that. I will not be buying Coca-Cola products, and on another show, I will do a list of Coca-Cola products if you'd like to boycott with me. A lot of people are getting rid of I'm getting rid of my TikTok account. I started on TikTok. I've always loved TikTok, but to pander to the right wing, TikTok has been crushing left wing creators. And now they're talking about selling it off to Elon Musk. No, I will not make Elon Musk money. I will not. So my TikTok account is going away. I'm in the process of figuring out what to do without Instagram. Facebook, I'm sorry, guys. It's an incredibly small community. Facebook has limitations on how big, and we're about getting the message out. And it's really hard to do on Facebook. So yeah, I'm sorry, but if Mark Zuckerberg keeps going down this road, he isn't Elon Musk at this point. Basically, you can chalk up a lot of what Mark Zuckerberg is doing to self-defense. You've got Elon Musk pandering. So Mark Zuckerberg, who runs a counter empire to Elon Musk, must also play the game. I understand that to an extent, but if he keeps going down this road and start pushing the whole MAGA bros thing, I'm out. I'm just not doing it. I'm not putting my money, my talent for them to earn money and fund their empires off of. I'm just not going to do it. But I'll be honest with you, I am very leery of leaving all my eggs in one basket. So until we get another alternative to Blue Sky out there that's as functional as Blue Sky, maybe Post will take off. Post.com has been out there for a while. I like Post. I like the way it works. Maybe Post or Spoutable or whatever, but I hate to put all my eggs in one basket. Amy Emanuel, I appreciate the support. Thank you for always being here. You can be lobbies by joining your favorite organization like Planned Parenthood. Great advice, Amy. Great advice. We knew what you meant, lobbyists. We knew what you meant. We knew what you meant. Well, I appreciate you folks being here. Thanks for doing it with me again. Enjoyed doing the show with you. I wish we were talking about really boring, great policy things that President Harris was doing to improve our country. Mastodon is another one. Not going to put all my eggs in one basket. Substack has taken off like crazy. I don't do Discord or Spotify. I don't do either one of those. And I sure as hell don't do Telegram. Every time somebody gets in touch with me about they were scammed by somebody impersonating me, they were asked to go to Telegram. Telegram is a Russian-owned freaking site. It is gross. I am not on Telegram in any way, shape, or form. I keep telling people this over and over and over again. It's here or my website. If it's not on my website, you ain't talking to me. There are links to all my social media on my website. That's it. Those are the real connections. Yeah, Telegram is full of just criminals. It is bad. Yeah. I can't stand Barry Weiss. I can't stand Barry Weiss. I can't stand Barry Weiss. This pandering to the right wing, these low class, low talent people, but a lot of good people move to Substack and are building followings on Substack. They're building their subscription service. A lot of them are running free services. Once you decline to join their subscription, it will let you pass through to their content. They're building a serious, very informative. It is. Stole your word there, Oscar. Very informative. I appreciate you folks. With that, enjoy some Texas cities at night.